So season 13 changes that are coming to League of Legends, right? Pretty big stuff. There's a lot that they're focusing in. They're focusing in on really reworking jungle, but also really pushing a lot of pressure into mid and the solo lanes, so top lane and mid, to kind of bring them back into the fold, bring them back into the fight, to kind of make them not so much really top lane, not so much an island kind of what it is right now. And I can tell you, having played numerous amounts of League, having played numerous amounts of games, it is absolutely needed right now for jungle and top, I think, to get some love. I'm a bot lane player. By heart, I like the jungle. That's kind of my, if I had to choose a spot to go to, it would definitely be the jungle. But I do play a lot of bot lane because of playing with friends and things like that. So I reside in the bot lane. Some bot lane's not getting the love right now. We're getting nerfed, honestly, with an XP hit. But it is what it is. But let's go over what's actually changing in season 13, because these are some big changes. Like, if you followed League for a long time, if you've been playing League for a long time, these are big changes. If you just started playing League and then gonna go into 2023, these changes are still pretty big. I mean, honestly, there's a lot that's happening here. So first thing I want to talk about is the chat system and the pinging system. So right now, as it is, pinging with inside of League is pretty bare bones, right? Like, you can ping missing, you can ping like alert, you can ping enemy vision, stuff like that. But communication as a whole is kind of limited unless you're going to type it out. And in a game that seconds matter, typing it out isn't always going to work. So they're implementing a new ping system, which is basically going to allow for new 6 new pings. And thanks to Dextaro, by the way, that's where we're getting all our information from. And I'll link it down below in the video so you guys can take a look at that and check that out and go and check all the information for yourself. Essentially what's happening here is they're allowing us to be able to ping more, right? So basically saying that they're going to give us the ability to ping not only enemy vision, if it's a support ward, if it's what type of vision is it, or not support ward, if it enemy vision, we have ward here, we need support here, we need assistance, we need this. But also on top of that, they're also allowing us to do votes, which is pretty important, right? So as a Drake comes up, or a objective comes up, whether Drift Herald, whether it's a Drake, whether it's Baron, we can actually go in and ping it, right? Whether it's alive or coming up, and say, open up a vote to say, hey, do we want to go for this or do we not want to go for this? And the team will vote, right? Now, this is still, is it perfect? No. There's still obviously room there, because realistically that relies on, if we're talking about the, Dragon or Drake, well, your bot lane, your mid, those are the ones that are going to go and help, do that. Now, if their new voting system or ping system allows for you to say, to show like, hey, support voted yes, this person voted no, this person voted yes, great. I don't think it does that from what I've seen off of some of the screenshots and things like that. I think it's just like a flat 5-person vote, very much like a surrender vote. So in there, it may not be as necessarily useful, but it's still an added bonus to say, hey, look, do we go for a Drake, right? Do we go for Herald? Do we go for Baron? It kind of clears up some conversations that or confusion that can happen, where a lot of fights will honestly end up being a problem. Hey, thanks for the follow, or for the sub. So that's where you can kind of see some of those things coming into play, where they're trying to work on communication skills. I am a proponent of it. I think more communication is better. I do not want voice chat in League. I think that would be a terrible idea. So adding these kind of things, allowing for more vision, for more pings, for more, even on the map, they're going to show like when you ping missing. Right now, you just hear ping, 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 ping on the mini map. What you'll see is actually on your game screen, you will now see an icon pointing down to where it's at. Now that still may change. It's still right now, obviously, all of these changes are not happening, implemented into live until the beginning of the year in January. They go into test in November 16th, if I'm not mistaken, is the date. So there may be some changes into that, but all these things are good, right? The new pinging system, I'm happy about it. To show on your actual screen where something's coming from, the fact that you can ping a support ward or a ward and see, where it's at and show where it's at on not only the map, you can also see like when wards are about to die off. Those are all positive things. So that's really, really good. The big change that's happening to jungle is the jungle rework. So what does that mean? So if you've been a jungle player or if you've been a league player, jungle is one of the most absolutely frustrating areas in the game. It is, whether you're learning it, whether you are getting used to it, whether you are a veteran in it, or you're another lane trying to get your jungle to understand what to do, right? It can be very frustrating. Jungle can sway a battle. If you have a really great jungler, it can really honestly sway a game. It can turn a really poor lane into a super strong lane. It can turn a fed lane into just an unstoppable lane. So it really does affect the momentum of the game, and it's probably one of the most important roles. So with that being said, jungle as it is now, people go in, they don't know what to do. You're just kind of thrown into it, and people get, auto queued, and they get auto thrown into jungle or auto filled, and it's really miserable for them, right? Because they may not know what they're doing. It's not every champ has different roles, different, patterns and techniques and all that kind of stuff, and it's difficult. So with that, they decided to go in here and change the way things are going to work. All right, so I love this change. I think this is a great change. I think that anytime that you can make a jungler understand a little bit easier and make that role a little bit more comprehensive. I won't say easy, but comprehensive, right? I think it's great. So they're adding in these pets. Excuse me, guys. I'm getting over COVID still, so I have a little bit of a cough, so I apologize. But they're getting over these. They're getting putting out these pets, right? You have salamander, fox, and cat. All of which are going to be pets. I'm assuming are probably going to end up being like the little champions that you have in League right now that show up in ARAM. So this is basically a pet that's going to follow you around in the jungle, and they talked about you giving it treats and feeding it treats, and that this will happen over time. I'm assuming that what this means is that as you do something, you'll probably get something in your inventory that you'll give to them, and that will quote unquote feed them, and they'll become evolved versions of themselves. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if Riot starts selling outfits and kits for these things. I mean, it's a moneymaker. Why wouldn't you? So yeah. So anyway, if you have it, you pick which one of these are going to go in. I'm assuming it's kind of like Smite, like how you pick your Smite, whether you want red Smite or you want blue Smite. This is basically saying, do you want green, red, or blue pet? And as they evolve, they basically give you more benefits. So like the salamander, it's a defensive option, right? So it's going to provide a shield. It's going to give you tenacity, which is going to make it basically easier for you to kind of clear, right? Fox is going to give you mobility. It's going to give you provide utility cooldown and movement speed through the jungle. So being able to gank and get in lanes a lot faster. And then the cat is going to be more of like your slows, extra damage. It's going to be your characters like Vi. It's going to be your characters that are going to be like really heavy into ganking, stuff like that. So it's what I think is cool about this is to add another element to not only teach people how to jungle and help people. Well, not this element won't teach people how to jungle, but it's going to help make it easier for people to jungle. But also I think it's going to provide a lot of different unique opportunities for people to do different builds. As you know, we've been in the send-in for a long time. I love off-meta stuff. So providing these kind of things where it gives me just another tool to be able to choose what kind of items I want to go with that could possibly be off meta, right? Does it make sense to off meta with Kayn to give me, Fox to get me in the lane a little bit faster, right? Those kind of things, even though like Kayn already has it. Maybe I'm thinking of like a Nunu, right? To get Fox to move even quicker, right? That's just kind of crazy, right? Maybe a Hecarim, those kind of things, like all of that kind of stuff. Like I love the ability to kind of theory craft. So it's really cool. The other side of what they're doing as well is that they're going to actually go into the jungle and give you optimal or not optimal, but recommended pathing. So for the first X amount of minutes, for your first clear, you're going to go in and basically say, okay, start here, then go here, then go here, then go here. Now, keep in mind that this is not, and I repeat, this is not optimal, right? This is not the number one, way to clear. This is just kind of a recommended, hey, this is what we think would be good. This is perfect for someone that, again, is just starting into the jungle. They don't know exactly what to do, because clearing in the jungle is pretty important, right? That's how you're going to get your leveling and stuff like that. I don't know, and we don't know if it's going to tell you like, hey, and I doubt that it would be saying like, hey, at level 3, go gank this lane. Hey, over here, go to this lane, right? But I have a feeling that it's going to be like, hey, start red, or start blue. Hey, then go to Grump, then go to Wolves, then go, to Krugs, then, go into lane or do that, whatever. I think that will probably be what it looks like. But again, not optimal, right? This is just baseline for the starting out first clear, probably within like the first 3 minutes, kind of like how the teleport changes. At 14 minutes, I'm assuming it'd be something very similar to that, where at 3 minutes it goes away, or at, like I said, after your first clear. So again, all things that help the jungle learn, anything that's going to help a lane learn what they need to do, especially something like jungle that is so pivotal. I think it's important. So this is a big plus. Along with the jungle also comes the return of the big baddie Kim Drake. So if you're unfamiliar with the Kim Drake was brought out in season 11. And it was quickly after a month taken away, basically because the Kim Drake was busted. If you don't remember what happened with the Kim Drake, is that if you got Kim Drake and they it changed the area on the jungle location, like all of your Drakes do now. But what the Kim Drake did was basically make it so you were completely invisible. So you were completely invisible inside of any of these toxic fields that were inside the jungle. Basically making assassins the most overpowered class and characters in the game. If you went into the jungle, you were pretty much fucked. You're talking about giving someone like Evelyn another fucking invis. You're talking about giving somebody like Twitch another fucking, like, they all basically turn invisible, right? You go into the jungle, you become invisible, become untarget, like it's insane, right? So it had a lot of problems. Unanimously, the entire community hated it and said, take this the fuck out. So they got rid of it. It's making its return back. It's coming back into the fold now. I think the changes that they're bringing to it are actually pretty cool. So what's going to happen basically with the Kim Drake is that if it goes to change the map, it's going to empower the map to do different things. So the blast cones, the jellies or basically the health fruits, and the vision wards, the scryer wards, those are all going to mutate and change. And what that does is that it makes it so that the blast cones actually double the distance and how far that they're going to blast. That's insane. If you think about, going from top lane at the blast cone up there, basically that blast cone can hit you from that top cone almost if not almost into lane, if not into lane. That's nuts. That makes, top laners and bottom laners really have to pay attention to where those blast cones are putting them, or, because it just amplifies that gank potential, which I think is really cool. The jellies are crucial change. So what the jellies do is now they slow you pop them, they slow you. It could be used as an offensive, defensive, throw them out there, slow the enemy as they're coming to you. If you're trying to get away, if you need some health to get back in, you can go get them back in. The problem is that a lot of times, with the fruit, you would basically go in there and say, okay, well, whoever's got low health, pop it, right? Like Enigma comes in and he's got low health, I'm going to give it to him, let him get it, and he can grab some stuff up, right? Now, if you're full health, it really does benefit. So if I'm playing Zac, I'm going up to our gank in the top lane, I've got full health, but I'm going up against, maybe like a Swain or somebody that's a little bit fed. I need shields. I can grab those fruit. It's going to give me a permanent shield for that time while they last and while I can get up into lane. So they also don't slow. You're not going to slow, and they give you the health. So that change happens there. The Scryer ward also is getting mutated to basically pop a vision around the ward itself, but then also any wards that get seen are going to immediately go to 1 tick. So they're immediately going to go to 1 health. So again, It's a really big change, and I think it's cool. I like the idea that it's changing the meta and the game style based on the drakes that we get. Now, let's go down and talk about the buff that it's going to give. So the buff that you're going to get is that if you get the it provides a base 5% increase in tenacity and healing shield, and the buff stacks for each individual Chemtech Drake that's slain. So as more kind of continue to come on, you're going to see an increase in tenacity and healing. I think this is probably going to get tweaked. Honestly, if you think about, there's some times where we've seen literally like 3 or 4, drakes of the same type come up. If you're talking like an ocean soul coming up, that's a lot of health regen. You're talking about this, you're talking about 15% healing and shielding power on something like a Zac or any of your characters that are going to heal. That's a big boost. That's a lot. So I think this will probably get tweaked a little bit. I don't know how much, but I think that it probably will get tweaked. Now, if you get soul, what's going to basically happen here is that the Chemtech soul is going to give you a 10% bonus damage and damage reduction when below 50% health, right? So the thing here is that, getting into a team fight and getting low, right? That immediate 10% bonus damage and a reduction on top of getting some of these other items, right? That you can get, that are good, that also pop that, like, that can be a lot. That can really be a shift. So, there's certain drakes that are kind of like, I don't really care. If soul gets picked up. Honestly, for me, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name. But the robotic Drake, the Hextech Drake, not, if we don't get soul off Hextech Drake, like, I can pass it up. I don't really care. This, I'm like, this is a priority. We need to go into it. This is a big deal. Chemtech Drake, that can be a game changer. Super, I think, awesome change. I love the fact that now it's changing, the jungle into a better place than what it was before, because before it was just completely overpowered. Now we're going to talk about the new items that have been introduced. I told you guys this was a big change. There's a lot of stuff that's coming, which is pretty intense. So basically they're introducing some new items and they're reworking some other items. So a lot of the tank items, and these are all mainly tank stuff. You're going to see that the Turbo Chemtech Drink, Sunfire Aegis are now being downgraded. They're no longer mythics. They're just going to be legendary items. I think that's good. A lot of the items that they had that were in this class for tanks were basically the same, right? They all provide a burn over time. One of them lets you, obviously the Chemtech would let you charge at an enemy. Sunfire Aegis is just basically an increasing burn as it continues to go and go and go. So they're adding in some different things, which I think is really cool. The new items, mythics that are coming into play for tanks, really kind of focus them on being tanks, right? Like, it's not just like, you're in the fight, so just burn everybody. This is more like, hey, you're gonna do increased healing. You're going to be able to take more damage, right? Versus just necessarily dishing it out. So with the tank items, there's 3 new items that are coming into play for tanks. So we've got Ithaca's Endurance. Essentially, the idea here is that for each second that you are in combat, you're going to be gaining a stack of armor and magic resistance up to 10 stacks. At max stacks, you become empowered, instantly draining enemies around you for 4% of your max health, and doubling your resistance from stacks until the end of combat. That's huge. Okay. The one I'm the most excited for is the next one, but this is huge, right? Again, you think about, I like to play tanks. I love playing ADC tanks. So I play Zac in the bot lane. You think about Ornn, stuff like that. People that are going to get into that fight, Sion, stuff like that, that's really just going to get in there and just wail, right? You're talking about reducing and siphoning people's health for 4% of your max health, right? At max stacks, like continuously, for just being in the fight. Like, that's insane. That's insane, right? It's crazy. And then it's also going to grant all other armor items 5 armor and 5 magic resist. Radiant Virtue. This is the one that I'm excited about. This is the one that I cannot wait to fucking put on Zac, because I think it's gonna be so much fun. So Guiding Light, right? Upon casting your ultimate, transcend, increasing your max health. Again, keep in mind, Zac, right? Max health, it does damage based off his health. 10% for 9 seconds. While transcended, you and your allies within a 1200 range. But keep in mind, 1200 range. I want you guys to do this, right? And thanks to Aoki for doing this math for me, right? Another great YouTuber you should follow, Aoki. But 1200 range, that is double the distance of Caitlyn's default attack range. Okay, so basically it's pretty big. It's a big size. But allies within 1200 range gain 25 ultimate ability haste and heal for 1.5% of your max health every 3 seconds. Increase based on missing health. Healing is also doubled on yourself. Like, you basically just turned Zach into what I am gonna play him as a like an unkillable blob of just nastiness, right? The fact that all of my healing is now doubled on myself for 90 seconds and I'm increasing my max health by 10%. Oh, and I'm gonna heal for 1.5% of my max health. Oh, and I get an ability haste. Yeah, like that is a no-brainer for me. I'm super stoked for that. I cannot wait. I think it's gonna be awesome. Goliath's Incendiary. This one, this is the first time I'm actually using, so we're gonna experience it together. But charge up a powerful attack against a champion over 3 seconds while within 600 range of them. Charge attack drains the target, dealing bonus physical damage and healing you for that amount. You gain health equal to 15% of the drain. Somebody like a Swain, this is nasty for. Somebody like a I think a Nasus, this is gonna be really nasty for. Scion's gonna be really nasty for. Those types of characters, that's going to be a big deal. Even like your Garens, people that can keep up with you and stay in that fight along with you and stay in that range of you, to be able to hit them, that's going to be big, right? I think that's a really cool passive. And again, it's going to grant all other legendary items 1% increased health and 6% champion size. Also, too, probably on Cho'Gath, I would see that as well, for sure. So those are the items. They're also reintroducing some items that were taken away. For all you Rise fans out there, Rod of Aegis is coming back, so that's really great. That's gonna be a mythic. I foresee a lot of Rise players. Rod of Aegis was like a super Rise item. They're gonna be super stoked to get it back. Catalyst of Aeons is coming back. That was a component of Rod of Aegis, so obviously it's needed to come back. And then Spear of Sojin, that was an item that you saw a lot being put onto Rivens and things of that nature. So basically this is coming back. Your non-ultimate spells gain 20 ability haste and reduced to 10 for mobilizing spells. So Riven, that was a huge item for Riven. Bringing these back, I think, you know, nothing wrong with that. I absolutely love having these back in the mix. You know, and I'm a proponent of these kind of changes. I love seeing these big changes coming. I think that they're really important to keep the meta changing, to keep the game you know, ever kind of flowing and all of that kind of good stuff. So yeah, so those are the season 13 changes. Like I said, this all takes place and happens in November for the PTR, and then we've got 2 months of testing before it actually rolls out in January. I hope you guys are excited as I am about all these new changes. Thank you for hanging out and being here. Make sure that you sub, hit that like button for your next video. And as always, you can join us live every night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on our channel where we stream League and several other games. So thank you guys again and hope you enjoy.